Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today in the program, I speak with Chip, the director of the Actors Theater of Charlotte, and they are producing a play called Rock of Ages. You've probably heard of it. I hope you have. It's a phenomenal show, and especially the production that the Actors Theater of Charlotte puts on. And how do I know it's fantastic? I'm just not saying it. I actually know it's fantastic. The way I know it's fantastic is I got to sit in on a dress rehearsal and take a couple of clips. So if you're a viewer of the video portion of this podcast, you get to see a short clip of the play, which is fantastic. And part of the reason I was able to do that is because of Martin. Martin's the one that lined up this whole interview. Martin's the one that got me in for the dress rehearsal and was extremely accommodating this entire time. And of course, Martin, big podcast fan. So this podcast would not exist if it wasn't for the hard work and dedication that Martin is doing over there for the Actors Theater of Charlotte. So thank you so much, Martin, for doing everything you did. And thank you for your professionalism. Also, thank you folks who are following me on social media. And if you're not, you should be. Why aren't you? And if you want to follow me on social media, it's very easy. All you have to do is look up at Manscout Manning on Twitter or at Manscout Manning on Instagram. If you got any questions about the podcast, make sure you email me at jake@sslshow.com. Or if you want to book me for an upcoming wrestling event, make sure you email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump into this wonderful interview with Chip, the director of the Actors Theater of Charlotte, who are producing Rock of Ages, here on Stranger in a Southern Land. Anyways, folks, I'm here with Chip for the director here at the Actors Theater in Charlotte, North Carolina. Chip,
Woo-hoo.
Thank you very much for allowing me to watch a wonderful dress rehearsal. I mean, do you feel it was a good dress rehearsal for you today?
You know, there's an old saying in theater that bad dress rehearsal, great opening night. So I think we're going to have a great opening night.
Well, like I said, I didn't see any flaws, but I overheard some of your notes, and just it's very unique how you kind of nitpick through stuff like that. I do independent pro wrestling, and I'm very the same way when I watch people's performances, and it's amazing how just a beat on something transforms a whole changes it completely.
Turns a comedy into a tragedy in a heartbeat.
Well, you definitely have a very unique show that you're putting on here, Rock of Ages, which has been around for quite some time. It's a very wonderful show, very interactive.
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
So, but let's kind of get into kind of your background. How long have you been directing in this whole theater business that is?
Wow, that goes way back. I started like so many kids do. I started in junior high and high school. The drama club and all that stuff, and band president and all that fun stuff. But belonged to several theaters, and joined the Air Force in the '80s. And even while I was in the Air Force, I did stuff. I toured with a group called Showcase of Stars, which was all highlighting the Air Force's major talent. They have huge companies like Tops and Blue and Singing Sergeants and whatnot, and we did kind of a training ground for that. And then, since early '80s, I would say. Did stuff out in the Midwest, 85, 89.
Whereabouts?
In North Dakota.
Really?
Yeah. It sounds horrible, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I'm from Iowa, and I always say anything past anything past Des Moines might as well be North Dakota and South Dakota.
That's right. The Dakotas are a very special place, and everybody should visit them once.
Yes. Yeah. Or swing, or just drive past.
Just drive past.
Maybe not visit, but drive through at least.
Get a video and watch it on TV. Yeah. It's a lot of corn and grain and stuff. Beautiful skies, but cold. Yes.
Yes.
Yep. That's why I'm in the South now, because I swore I would never be that cold again.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get from there to here then?
Same story for so many people. My wife, I met my wife on the show. We were both working the Pajama Game. I was an actor. She was run crew, and we spent so much time together backstage that we started dating. And then she was from Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's like, I can't take this weather anymore. I'm moving back to Charlotte. And like we do, I followed her right here, and found myself a new home in Charlotte.
Yeah, and when you moved here, were you thinking that you were going to start up, doing theater or plays, or what was the thought process there? Or was it like, I've had enough, I'm just going to go to Charlotte, get a regular job, or,
Right.
or, what was that thought process?
That's great. I actually, in the Air Force, I was trained as a pharmacy technician, so I came to Charlotte and I started working at Mercy Hospital as a certified pharmacy tech. But I'd been on stage I was averaging about 135 performances a year, so it was in my blood, and
yeah.
so it didn't take me long.
It's a thing that defined you. When you talk to people, that's like, this is what I do. I act.
Come see me. Come see this show.
Exactly.
Right.
It's this thing that you're not a normal person in a sense, and when you're a normal person, and you don't want to be a normal person,
right?
And it's a thing that almost defines you.
Absolutely does. Absolutely did. Still does. And got to Charlotte to try to do the 9 to 5, and I did for a number of years, and then went and auditioned for shows, and eventually got in one show, and then ended up being cast in a show for Actors Theater after I had auditioned several times and gotten turned down. Perseverance, people, it's a key. Keep trying. And finally got cast, and it was just a very interesting set of circumstances, but I had been tech director for the company out west, and then I came here and I swore I just wanted to act. I didn't want to be a TD again. And just the way things do, I was offered a technical director position.
Because you just want in. You just want to be.
Yeah, I figured I was in because I got cast in their show.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm cast. But I also saw the need for the theater, and I loved what the company was doing. I loved the fact that I'd come from a company that had done more traditional shows, Pajama Game and Oklahoma, etc., shows like that. When I got here into Charlotte, Actors Theater was doing Keely and Do and all these really meaty, wonderful dramas and funny shows that, with F-bombs and sex and nudity and, whoa, you just don't see that in North Dakota.
Or even in the Bible Belt here, in a sense.
In a sense, you don't, right, exactly. So it was very juicy material and an exciting company, and I really wanted to work for them and ended up doing that. And then I was offered a part-time job as their technical director. Did that for years and helped build the company and moved into the artistic director position. So that was back in 96 is when I started with Actors Theater. So whatever the math is there.
Yeah. How long had the Actors Theater been in existence at that moment?
They were created and incorporated in 1989.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just, has this always been the location we're just off?
No, not at all. Actors Theater started out as really sort of a vagabond company. They jump from location to location wherever, like so many companies that start do. You go where there's a venue open or where you can rent a space. Mm-hmm. So they did stuff down in Matthews. They did things over at the old Afro-American Cultural Center. And then they finally, what was Charlotte Rep was in the Duke Energy Theater, and they moved out. And then Actors Theater became sort of the resident company of Spirit Square for a number of years, working in the Duke Energy Theater.
Okay.
And then finally, we did that for a number of years, and I just got to the point where I couldn't. My wife got to the point where she got tired of having to park her car on the driveway while I built and painted sets in the garage. So using that as my motivation, we worked really hard to secure and find a permanent home where we could build and have offices and do shows, and that's here at where we are now, Actors Theater of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we did that, and we took over the building in 2002, and we opened for our first production in January of 2004.
And most of these actors are all local people that got regular jobs, or like what's the setup there? Is it people from different places, or like how's that all?
Yes, because we are an equity company, we hire equity actors, and we also hire local actors. Most of our local actor hires are equity actors.
Well, what are equity actors?
Equity is the union of professional actors.
Okay.
So these are folks that have really they've honed their craft, they've paid their dues, and then they've managed to get into the union, into the actors union. sometimes, because they're working around the country and whatnot, their full-time job is acting, is working on stage or film. And then a lot of our local people who are nonetheless talented do it. They do the grind. They do the 9 to 5. Then they come in and they work for me for another 5 hours, so they're not getting out until 11, and then they go right back to work. And it's amazing. It's amazing the dedication these actors have. And then so we're probably about 60-40 with about 60% equity actors, and we hire like I said, there's a number of local actors that are equity, and then also we'll bring some in from the region, around the state, and around the country.
And what's the tryout process for that? Is it a situation you get your equity actors, and then you're kind of like, okay, we'll round it out with some locals here? Right.
We do an open call, so basically it's a 2-day call, and for equity and non-equity. So everybody comes and is scheduled, and they all come in and they do their, it's like American Idol. They all come in and they audition their hearts out, and basically that's it. It's 2 days, and it's a couple hundred people. Yep.
Just weed through all of them and figure it all out.
It's a lot of fun. It's you get to see a lot of new faces, a lot of new talent, people that have just moved to the area. It's a great way to finally meet them. If they a lot of people will show up and haven't been here before. The audition, it gives them a chance to showcase themselves in front of us. It's like a job interview.
Yeah, and so you just get, when they come in, especially your equity actors that travel around and stuff like that, like I'll be in Charlotte and I want to do this production for a short period of time. It just decides if they want to go to Charlotte.
Right.
For a short period of time.
Right, and a lot of folks now too. We get a lot of video submissions as well from around the country.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's probably changed since you were doing it. Is that sense
Absolutely.
that you can audition via Skype?
Right. Exactly.
That completely changes.
Exactly. And we've done that. We've done rehearsals via Skype. We've done production meetings and whatnot via Google Hangout and whatnot. So, the technology definitely has changed the accessibility and being able to reach out and touch actors from around the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as, you talk about picking actors, how do you pick productions and things and plays that, you want to do?
Well, I try to just listen to my heart and listen to the mission of the theater. We read a lot of plays. We get a lot of input. We've got friends in the industry all over the country that will show us plays that they're doing, new works that they're doing. We have a focus on new works, new theater.
Is that kind of the mission, though? Is
it really is. The mission is bold and contemporary new plays. So we're looking constantly for what's being written. That's why we have our own new play festival, because we wanted to try and help foster these plays. And we've been fairly successful. We've had some success with our festival and a couple shows that have been in it. So we're excited about that. But yeah, it's I just read a lot, and I try to put together a season that I find entertaining, and that I hope an audience will find entertaining. I think this is every artistic director's bane and wish. It's I wish there was a magic formula to it, because what you think is going to work one season just won't. Or it doesn't for whatever reason. You think a show might resonate with an audience, and it may not.
Well, what? Give me an example of one that didn't resonate and why you think it didn't resonate with people.
Oh wow. Well, it's always it's timing, right? In theater, everything's timing.
Yeah.
And sometimes timing can be amazing, and sometimes it can kill you. We've done shows, where we open the week before 9/11. Right, and then it's like, oh, now what do we do? Well, this is not going to be a great show. We did a show a few years ago called Big Boys, which was about corporate greed and banks and people being taken advantage of by the banking industry and whatnot.
With Wells Fargo's base and Bank of America just down the street.
It was a very funny show, and here we are in bank capital USA.
Yep.
And it was a riot, and nobody wanted to see that show. The last thing anybody wanted to be reminded of right now was I lost my 401k. The banks are screwing me over. F Wall Street. It was like we thought some humor might work at this time,
Yeah.
but it was too close to home.
Especially
for folks.
somebody maybe working middle management over in the towers that
Right.
loom a shadow.
But they
over
were
this
losing their
theater.
jobs, and
Yeah.
it's like there's nothing funny about that shit when you're like, it's like right, and so you go, hey, this is funny. Nobody thought it was funny. Well, the few people that saw it, they thought it was funny, but everybody that which was almost everybody, stayed away from that show.
Yeah, they had no motivation to go. If they would have saw it, they would have thought it was funny.
Right,
So-
right. And that's something where you pick it one year, right? Because we set our season in February, so the following February, the temperature of the country can change like that.
Oh, so you're picking something in February.
For the next, right?
Next
We
Feb-
set our season in
Wow.
February, right?
Yeah, that would.
So it is a little bit of
So like when you were saying when you're doing 9/11, you could have something about New York, like scheduled. Then.
Right, exactly.
And you'd have no idea that's
no
something
idea
like that.
that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm reminded of a time when there was a show years ago called Talking With, and there's a segment in the show where the lady's talking about eating French fries at McDonald's and how safe and wonderful McDonald's is. During our run of it, for the first time, there was a shooting at a McDonald's, and I forget. It was back in the '80s, and they walked in, and the guy shot like 7, 8, 9, killed them in a McDonald's, and it was all over the news. It was like, and then we had this show every night about how safe and secure they all felt at McDonald's, and we really had to think about what we were going to do with that monologue,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden everybody's talking about it and nobody felt safe. So it's timing. You never know. You never know in theater.
And you just don't think you can take it out, or like what do you?
You don't want to, because the playwright, there's a lot of, it's like anything.
Yeah, because isn't there rules that it has to be done
Absolutely.
a specific way?
Right.
Which I'm sure a lot of people don't really realize about that when a playwright's a
It's
play.
very right. They're very particular about how their words are spoken, and cutting words and changing them is a complete no-no. It's you just don't do it. I think we actually may have contacted the playwright directly, and people do that and go, in light of this circumstance, can we truncate this monologue? I don't really remember what we did, but I just remember it was like, there we go. That's you never know.
Mhm.
You just never know.
Wow. Because it's almost like a legal thing, isn't it as well?
With playwrights, yes. When you sign a contract with the, let's say it's Samuel French, you are basically saying that we will produce the show as the playwright has intended.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, we've talked about ones that came off a little bit wrong because of seasons of everything. Were there any ones that stuck out in your head that like, wow, we really nailed this and we couldn't have predicted to turn out as well as it did? When you're picking like that far out,
Right.
it is very just
Yeah,
hodgepodge.
everybody has success stories, and usually it's the ones that you really don't, you never see it coming. Yeah, and that's what's so frustrating about the job is you just never see it coming. You can go, oh, this is a cute show. It's kind of funny. Maybe it'll do well, and it doesn't. And then there's ones where you're like, well, we're going to do the best we can. We're going to put it on. We're going to put it out there. And then all of a sudden, it's like it catches fire and people start talking about it. And we sell out night after night after night after night. So for some, whatever reason, it resonates. And it can all be timing. I mean, the same show the following year could be a complete dud just based on the national temperature.
Mm-hmm. So when you pick productions, how many productions are you doing in a year?
We do 7 productions a year, plus our New Voices Festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how much rehearsal time do each one of these productions get?
3.5 to 4 weeks generally. It's a very rapid process.
I find that very surprising, because especially the show that you're doing now, Rock of Ages, just watching it with the musical cues, and you have that whole musical element to it, and there's a lot of timing to it. Trying to memorize that in 3 weeks seems very tough and very difficult.
Yep, it's the quality of the actor, the people that you cast, and having a great production crew. I mean, we've got a top-notch choreographer, music director, and they come in and it's no nonsense. They come in and again, it speaks to them, where they're coming in right after work and they work for a solid 4 or 5 hours a night. And then they're working on their breaks at work. They're working over lunch. They're working before they come in. We put everything we film their choreography rehearsals, and then they can go and review those anytime online. So they're constantly working, even when they're not in rehearsal. They're learning the songs. They're learning their harmonies. They're learning their dialogue. I mean, it's amazing how much they cram in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and like you even said right there that they could go over their choreography online, so you could like record a rehearsal and then upload it, and then everybody can watch it.
Exactly.
That's got to be an amazing tool now. Are there any like tools like that as far as like advancement in technology now that help you in just the rehearsal process?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, from just as simple as like I do all my notes on iPad or whatnot, where a few years ago it was pen and a piece of paper, and when I first started we would etch them in stone, and but just the technology, lighting systems and LEDs are coming along so fine now, and video projection, video mapping. We do a lot of video mapping here, and that's just a technology that I love. Anytime you can use that sort of 21st century stuff to enhance the production, not make it about those things, but really to enhance the acting that's going on stage, they're wonderful tools. And am I nostalgic for the times when we stood backstage with giant dimmers and we would pull these things down to make a lighting change and bring up those lights, and it took 4 people to push this huge rheostat up? No, I don't miss those days at all.
It's just now a slider. Or you time
no, now it's just now you just pretty much think it, and your board reacts to you. They're all digital.
Yeah, they're all got the timing cues.
You'd better take this cue now, board, and they're pretty magical. Yeah. How many things can happen at the push of a button?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of little things in productions that people probably take for granted. And one of those things hit me while I was watching your rehearsal is just the lighting. I was, off in the corner, and they let me take just a couple clips. Like, and there was a 30-second spot there, coming at the very end of Act 1, like the very end, and just the lights and everybody's like wardrobe. Like there was that nice purple, and it seemed to hit your lead actress and the outfit that you wore, and I was like, wow, that's. Like it looked like magic on the screen of my camera. Like
cool.
Just everything, like all the colors looked fantastic.
Great.
Like when you're trying to put something together, do you put like thought process of like what I need for outfits and the lighting and stuff like that? Like what are you trying to go for with that?
Long before rehearsals begin, production teams will get together and talk about the look of the set and the colors on it and the feel of the set, and then that translates to what the wardrobe is going to, you can't have a all black set with a bunch of people in black clothes. You're not going to see them. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of pre-planning to make sure that all happens. And then lighting, of course, a green dress will look horrid with the wrong gel in a light. So you have to have a lighting designer that understands color and how to paint with it on stage, and how to be an artist with their lights. So it really takes a lot of planning with all of those different things, lighting and costumes and sound and just all of it together, what the set looks like. And again, everything should be complementary to what you're watching for the people, and not maybe overshadow or overpower them. Yeah. Like you said, the purple and the light just added to that whole moment.
Yeah, it was just like I just had the camera on and the viewfinder up and just looking, and I'm off like in the corner,
right?
And I was like, wow, that looks amazing from this angle right now.
Cool.
And it was beautiful. And it was a camera pointed at a stage, and it was unbelievable. The
what
view,
was catching.
Yeah.
And that's awesome to hear. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a great design and production team that I get to work with, and they make magic, and that's what they do. And my biggest job as a director is just to stay the hell out of the way and let them do what they do the best. So that's 90% of the battle.
Yeah. And so as the director, you just kind of, is it just checking in? Is it middle management, or is it like, this is the vision, go do it, or is it a little more hands-on, or what's your approach to it?
It's a lot of all of that, quite honestly. the directors will usually have a vision of what they'd like the show to be, and we'll make decisions. We'll make decisions about wardrobe and whatnot. I think the better directors listen intently to what their designers and their actors are doing and saying, and like I said, I just try to stay out of everybody's way. Ultimately, the buck stops here, and you got to put your foot down. You got to be the
Obviously.
you got to paint your picture. But in doing that and creating art, if you're using, I don't know what my metaphor is here, but when you have the great tools, just knowing how to use them properly makes your life so much easier. It's like, but you can't paint a house with a tiny little, brush. You get it right. It's having the right tool. So that it is, if you select the right tools in the beginning, your job is so much easier. Yeah.
All right. Well, what was the thought process in picking Rock of Ages, which is running right now, and by the time this podcast comes out in about a week or two, you'll probably be running for quite some time.
We're in full swing.
You'll be in full swing.
I have 2 more weeks to see it.
It's been selling out probably for weeks now.
It's selling very well, yes.
But what was the thought process on picking this particular production?
One, the rights just became available, so we looked at it from that. It's like, oh, that's a cool show. Number 2, it's just a fun, nostalgic show. I love it because I'm a product of the 80s, junior high school, 80s kid through and through. So the music to me is just, I just love the music in it. And it's the silliest story. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl.
Yeah, it's the
boy
simplest
gets girl
one.
back.
It's the simplest.
Right. But you can't help but, Star Wars is it's a swashbuckler movie. It's the simplest premise, but you love Star Wars. And that's what's so great about Rock of Ages is it doesn't matter that it's corn syrup laden silliness. It's the music and the energy and the excitement involved, and you feel like, if you knew the 80s or you love any of this music, you can't help but to love this show, which is why I was like, we got to do this show. It's just a lot of fun. And it's okay to have fun in theater. It's like we do a lot of 3-course meals, where you got your meat and potatoes and you got your vegetables, right? Sometimes you got to have dessert.
Yeah.
And this is one of those sweet, decadent, luscious desserts, and it's just you got to dig your teeth into it and rock out.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun show, and it's very unique. Like my history of plays is very, very, very limited, but it does do, Rock of Ages something interesting in that it breaks the fourth wall a lot.
Yep, smashes it.
Yeah, it's almost like self-aware.
Very much.
Like we know where this is,
right.
And I think that's very creative and stuff like that. I don't know if there's a lot of plays out there like that. I don't know if that's what made it as attractive to you. Is that
there are, and I personally love shows that break the fourth wall, and I love shows that stay strictly confined behind it. It's knowing when to do it and how to use it, and this one, like you said, it's very self-aware, and the audience really loves that about it because you can't. It's a decade. We're talking a time period in people's lives, and anybody that was alive back then, or any time during the 80s, is gonna want to be part of it, and they're gonna. Oh yeah, man, I remember that with you,
and it's very hard.
And you get to share that.
Yeah, and it's very hard, like for people to not sing along with the songs in a sense.
Right.
Which
that happened tonight, wasn't that great?
Yes.
When he stopped the scene and everybody was still singing the song.
Yeah, exactly.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things. Like probably like first 15 minutes into, I guarantee by the end of this, people are going to be singing along with every song because it's very hard not to.
Right.
It's very interactive, and there's a lot of times where even the actors are going to the audience and stuff like that, which is the complete opposite of any play I've seen.
Right.
Is that sense of going to the audience and encouraging them to talk, encouraging them to yell, and that sense and feeling there. And it almost feels like to me, maybe because I have a little bit of background in improv, in the sense that, as an actor and you're feeling that connection, there's that sense of you want to improv a line here or there. Is there freedom for the actors to do that?
There is. We have fairly tight leash on the show, and we've worked a lot of bits. But there's definitely, as I was just talking to one of the actors tonight, where he's gonna try something tomorrow based on tonight's audience. And I think it'll get a huge response based on tonight's reaction. So there is a little bit of leeway. This is one of the shows that really allows for it. You can't help but not plan ahead for when you're dealing when you open the doors to the audience, right, to your cousin, your weird Uncle Harold. You got to be ready for his reactions. So, and this is what the show does. It says, "Hey, Uncle Harold, come on in, join the party." And so they're all ready for whatever happens. They're up for it.
Yeah, and it even seems like some of your blocking some of the movements were even like probably improv to even the stage that you have, like towards the end where, you know, your male lead is running into the train station and stuff like that. He comes through the actual like fire exit of your theater. You know.
Spoiler alert.
Yes, spoiler alert. I'm using this to promote this, but there's a moment where somebody might, you know, but, it comes through like the actual, you know, door and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because that actually, you know, I do feel bad that I said that because that was a pretty remarkable moment. I thought it was a bum actually banging on the door at one time.
Right?
Yeah, like I was like, this guy is ruining a very crucial moment. There is some bum just banging on the side of the door.
So we caught you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
great.
you definitely caught me.
Good.
Because I was like, did somebody bang? Because like it's a dress rehearsal. You're expecting somebody to fall down or do something. I felt that, you know, actor was out for a smoke break and got locked up.
Great.
And I ruined that for everybody.
Nope, not at all. Now they have to come and check it out.
Now
See what you're talking about.
Now
that moment.
Now I've talked about how great this moment is, and
That's
people
right.
have to see this moment.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I've done here. We've brought it all back around there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But as far as I lost my train of thought there, but you know, as far as like
you must have taken the midnight train.
Yeah,
going anywhere.
That's
right.
You know, and that's the thing. There's so many cues to this show. Is that, you know, the timing is so important with this. You know, like just here, there, and you're dealing with songs and stuff like that.
Right, and what's really been a challenge for this show is that so much of the dialogue, they have dialogue, but they have music going under it.
It's weaved in and out.
It's they've got to end right when that music beat comes in. So it's not like it's a song, you know, the lyrics go along with the music.
Yeah.
Dialogue doesn't necessarily always do that. So let me tell you, they may seem fast and loose with it, but they're in their heads, they are going, "Oop, I need to speed this line up because we're going to run out of music." And the music director is like, "Oh, I need to cut this back, or I need to add a measure of music because their dialogue's going longer than it went last night, or audience reaction forces it to go longer." So it's a real delicate balance, and it looks like they're playing fast and loose with it, but let me tell you, they are on a pitch 11 to get all that out.
You have to be, because there's just, it's so, the music, it's like from music to dialogue to music and then back, and you're still in the same song you were before, and
right.
And it's
like
awesome. I said, when you said you had 3 weeks to do this for a rehearsal, it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, it's got to be like a 6 or 8 week process just to get those beats, especially a comedy in a sense, is you got to wait for, you almost have to occur for a laughter to happen, and you don't want to like jumble over the laugh, you know, to get to the song.
Yep.
You know, it's like you got to hit the line, let the laugh, and then jump back in the song.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I got to give it back to all those actors, because they're just they're all pros. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and then like I said, I think it's also fantastic the way that this show started. It was just run out of a club in L.A. and then eventually worked its way through, and then Broadway and everywhere else, and now it finds its way, you know, distributed out to, you know, people in smaller theaters.
Right.
You know, like
right.
I think it's just, you know, fantastic and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll be. I hope it gets picked up a lot. I think people enjoy it, and again, it's you know, it has a permanent install right now down in Vegas, which, you know, they pack the house almost every night, and that's, you know, a couple thousand people seeing the show. So there is a love for the music, and there's a love for the show, and I'm really excited that we're able to do it here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Produced locally with local talent. It's very cool.
Yeah, because I mean, like the original show, like, because I'm a big fan of the Nerdist podcast, and Chris Hardwick always would mention that, you know, because he played Stacey Jackson, like the very first,
cool,
like, you know, incarnation of this, and like they did the first Vegas show, and then he was like, "Oh, went to Broadway," and then it was this, and then he's like, "This was a little show that we just did with friends."
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it
Let's
wasn't
get together
anything.
and sing these songs.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool that it's now reached out to the point that a place like in Charlotte or other places can go around and
Yeah.
can see it and stuff like that. So
Cool. Yeah. People need to just get. It's the best time you're gonna have. It's the best 2 hours that you're gonna come have a beer and rock out.
Yeah.
Have your face melted.
for sure. Well, as we're getting a little bit closer to the end, can you just kind of tell people how long it's running, where they can see this, and all kinds of all the promotional aspects?
Sure, absolutely. Well, we'll have probably, by the time folks hear this, we'll probably be in our second week. So it runs up until August 15th. Hey, look at me. I know the dates.
There you go.
So we run through August 15th. You can get tickets online at atcharlotte.org. You can call our box office Monday through Friday after 1 o'clock, 704-342-2251. Reserve your tickets that way. We do the whole thing. We got the internet thing going down, so you can reserve right online and get your tickets. It is selling pretty fast, so I would encourage people, if we got tickets, go ahead and get on there, and if we're sold out, get on the waiting list. We do that quite a bit, and folks seem to get in all right. So, yeah, definitely check it out. atcharlotte.org.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say about the Actors Theater, or anything about the show that I've kind of glazed over?
No, you've done great. I would just encourage folks to check out the website, and then and our Facebook page. Like us on Facebook, and check out Rock of Ages now through the 15th, and then we have an amazing season coming up. So I could,
what do you got coming up next?
We've got a brand new play that was part of our new play festival that I talked about briefly, called The Patron Saint of Losing Sleep. That's our next show.
Okay.
We have the one after that's a comedy called Bad Jews, followed by our all-time leading favorite show, the Great American Trailer Park Christmas Musical, and that was a complete sellout last year. So if people are interested in seeing that show, they need to get their ticket reservations now, because it's probably going to be another huge sellout. Father Comes Home from the Wars, which is in February, which is a brand new play that we're one of the first companies in the country to get the rights to that. We're excited about a new delightful new musical called Fly By Night that takes place the eve in 1965 of the great Northeast blackout that blacked out all of New York and upstate, and it's a very interesting love story. Musical that takes place. And then we have a new comedy to end the season called Stage Kiss, how appropriate for theater. So something for everybody, and I guarantee you, if you just want to experience theater for the first time, we've got all kinds of shows that people would really dig, and if you're a hardcore theater person, you're going to see new works here that you really dig.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you hanging out, man.
Especially after a rehearsal and stuff like that, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no way I could have talked to you before, because I'm sure you would have been...
My head would have exploded.
Of course.
Yeah.
well, I'm glad you still have your head right now, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.